my bios, other than that one, I hearken from Lake Oswego, but I just moved in the last week up to northeast Portland. And so I am going to read a poem that I wrote after moving several times before, called After I Fixed What Was Needed. In the garage, thinner smells slice sharply the axle grease and cornered cut dust. All the doors lay on bed sheets, enameled. Paint pools on their edges, swollen over hollow cores, hinge pins fill a bucket. But the underside of the paint feels our finger smudge hickeys, our spackle of abuses still tattoo the final skin. And it's the air I miss, the hoarse, thick dust the couch coughed up, the rat-furred silt on top of the door jambs, the dry smoke air. Now the walls are soft white, but the air is hard, sharp, tasting like chewed tinfoil. Every bit of softness from these walls took from my hands. The skin scales off around my thumbs. Every bit of gratitude I ever asked for sits on bare rafters, moved to the garage where the water heater's insulation peels off like a skinned possum.
Hey.
The next poem I'll read is comes from the house that I just moved from, and there's some irregular steps, and it's got vaulted ceilings in the upstairs that I hit my head on, and a vent that comes off the range that blows the smoke from the range right into my eyes.
And you moved?
Yeah, and I moved. So this one is called Post. If you really want to hear about it, the first step is tricky, in terry cloth and bare feet, and the threshold is just a fist above the stoop, which stretches to the next step. This one measures from thumb to pinky, but the next stair drops almost the length of a forearm, jarring stars in my eyes loose to trace my veins like fireflies and heave my ribs against my intestines. I mumble a curse of the days before. I won't say much, except that I was disappearing then, half in love with a muckle-mouthed girl. She got the couch and the Gladstones. I moved to this home in the woods with a mailbox across the street. I am almost over it now. On this sunless afternoon, like morning, so terrifically cold, my ears feel boxed, and impatience look like raw egg. And the asphalt hurts my heels till the numbing turns my legs to jelly. It is not what's in the box, all those low-interest envelopes. It's that now I count myself lucky when counting the names on the mail. So this next poem is the poem that was first published, and you can still find it online and in publication at Hunger Mountain Journal. And actually, Scott discovered me with this poem and sent me off to the Poets Concord on the coast, and that was fantastic. And I'll read the next poem from that venue. But this poem kind of launched me to where I am now. So,
Hunger Mountains away because
Hunger Mountain's a great publication. I was published with along with Tobias Wolff and George Saunders and Dorian Lau. I mean, I was in fantastic company. Actual poets and writers that I knew the names of and knew their work, and I'm not the most literate, well-read person, but I actually knew them. This poem is called Edges. I don't know where to start. Far before the moon pulled the tide to your chin, before your groin became a grotto, before the brine washed away the halos your feet squeezed into the sand. I don't believe in the alchemy of eels and their mud. It started before you felt their slither. I know where this ends. With lungs shortening and sinuses burning like sea radish, you tread and estimate how much longer you can stand. I know the sound of the ocean's throat. I carry its homunculus in my ear. The sea's words won't heal you. Neither will the earth. Though you press your heel on the folded edge of a spade and kick the ashes to reveal an ember, it glows a window you stand outside of. The ground does not move. You visit the same stone, eat a meal of lavender seeds, but it will pass. You think the horizon's distant line is not crossed. It slides like a floater on your eye. It flees your direct gaze. Like the moon, it moves with you as you drive the switchbacks to Grizzly Peak. You don't think you're in it. You need distance for each wet piece of dust to appear as fog. Stop pushing the sky to the edges. You know where the sea starts, where your land ends. The sky starts there too. I've got my fingers on your head. In the air is where you live. The sea loves only its own. The earth knows only the print of your stride. The sky is closer than the chill on your wet finger. It suddenly touches you, enters you. The sky starts somewhere near the rough spot on the bottom of your heel.
Bravo.
As you can see, this is oddly printed because I just moved in. I'm moving out of boxes, and this was supposed to be printed up as a booklet, but no such luck. The next poem I'll read is published in the forthcoming Flatman Crooked anthology of contemporary poetry. It's called Recess Beyond the Old Equipment. And one little caveat, this is my girlfriend Jessie and my cat just passed away. We had to put him down, and his one of the images was taken directly from him as he sat on my lap while I wrote this. Recess beyond the old equipment. There is neither room nor class inside, only the ricochet of stuttering light, blunt scissors, sour milk, peanut butter. But at recess beyond the old equipment, behind a wonky grid of cyclone fencing, nothing but desert boots or topsiders to tamp down the blackberry vines, to stamp down bramble thick as a cat's arm. I hollowed out an os between ringing bells. Goose-stepped vines strung with berries, like thumbnailed black ushankas. When I couldn't push down the canes, I pushed up a dome where the droops clustered like flies' eyes. The dark leaf below, the light leaf over. It was not salvation, not refuge, not crucible. You will not hear of discarded, cigarette-clotted beer bottle necks, nor the albumen of latex, nor the ragged tears of a plaid skirt, no moldering body found in leaves. I wasn't even late for class. Innocence, mind, way, nothing lost. No, I'm not done. It was dirt under fingernails, a sharp draught of breath when uncovering a beetle or a millipede glissade. The effort ran scabs the length of my arms and pocked me where my socks ended and cords began. bent my fingernails so far back they creased a white stripe. Soon, it may become a hermit crab shell, for someone's transgressions, future deviance. Yet a tired dog does not think while circling that it is tramping its ancestors' savanna grass. Nor do I when I bend each thorn to the side with the flat of my thumb till it snaps off. Now I'll read this in honor of Tony and his son. I sent this out to him. We're part of a group of poets and techies and people that are trying to map out all the poetry posts or poetry boxes or poetry polls or whatever they're called, where they display. Paul Ann Peterson talked about it when she was on the radio and when she was also speaking here. There are in the neighborhoods all around the metro area. There are people that have put up poetry posts and they switch out the poetry weekly or monthly or whenever they want. And so when you're walking around the neighborhoods, you have a chance to be exposed to literature. And so this, Tony asked for a little bit of my poetry and I sent him this little piece of masculine angst. The unsaid. He did not fear her overbiting honesty. He thought her double meanings could be controlled. Thinking it safe to feed her, he made her dinner. In her kitchen, she saw meaning in his lack of kaffir leaves and his abundance of ginger and coconut milk. But she was definitely ignorant of his love of garlic. She promised him breakfast in return. He listened to the promise of a night before breakfast and stammered over the invisible forwardness of such a promise. She smoothed her stocking. You need to relax, a glass of wine, just talk. But even talk of scoliosis leaves unsaid the back rub. Wine leaves his car in the drive. When she asks him, do you want to kiss me? She omits her own desire. He hesitates. A look in her eyes means to her, he does. A look away whispers that he'd like to. He looks her in the mouth and says, no, and means it as much as spoken words. Unflinching, she parts her lips, silently scoffing as if he made a very poor chess move. Now he looks around her room and sees her strategy in the casual honesty of her condoms strewn across her nightstand. He listens to them explain that having sex is just a hobby, similar to playing the flute, which rests comfortably on her music stand in the corner. He understands the rudeness that would be implied in leaving at this hour, and knows that she holds sleep in her hand. The more he grows tired of the game, the more valuable her hand becomes. With each lull in the conversation, the unsaid grows louder as he tries to decide where it is safe to rest his eyes. He is too kind to get angry over games. He's too drunk to hold on to conviction. Hemmed in, he admits that he started to get hard at the thought of kissing in general, but leaves unsaid that it stopped when he thought of her specifically. She does not hear his silence. He does not want to lose all his power, and mere surrender would risk his prowess. Such is the weakness in men, he knows, and leans forward to kiss her, thinking, when in Rome.